Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Keshi's Corner podcast. I'm super excited to have Daniel on today. I will give a little bit of an intro before we get started, and then he'll just add on to the rest. Daniel Krikorian, who is the CEO of B.Remembered. He has a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Massachusetts Lowell and further studies in psychology, marketing, and economics. He started his career producing promotional digital media and went on to establish Be Remembered in 2017. Based in Massachusetts, Be Remembered specializes in wedding planning, photography, entertainment, makeup, and film. So, pretty much a one stop shop for all your wedding needs. But that's not everything, as if he doesn't already have enough on his plate with that. In 2020, Daniel decided to launch a second business, the Be Remembered Academy, offering classes to the next generation of wedding professionals. So, Daniel, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. How are you and what did I miss?
I'm doing very well. Actually, today's a big day, so I don't know when this is going to be released, but on September 1st, which is today, we are going to launch our brand new website. So BeRemembered.io is something we've been working on for a while right now, and we're actually going to release it nationwide. It is going to be a vendor couple platform where we basically fill in the gaps for every service, whether it be photography, videography, DJ. We're hoping to go all the way into venues and catering. And the idea is to allow couples not only to connect with vendors, but to actually service them within the platform. So that means pay them right on our platform using a really cool software called Stripe Connect. Allow them to chat right on the platform, manage their timeline, build out their timeline. We've incorporated some AI to allow them to get help, whether it be for their timeline, to where to put things, what tasks we should have. There's so many unknowns that are in this wedding world that we're trying to help establish and use technology to bridge that gap on. So very exciting day for us. Goes live tonight at 8 p.m. We've been working on it for almost a year now. Um, but outside of that, yeah, no, I mean you covered the whole spectrum. It's been a wild ride of 5 years, and just trying to keep ahead of everything.
Yeah, and you said 8 p.m. What time zone is
Mhm.
that?
Oh, Eastern Standard. So
Eastern
that's when we'll
Standard
be
Time.
launching. Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
perfect. Because this is gonna go out to today. There's no
Oh,
technical
wonderful.
issues
Okay.
here, so it would be, yeah,
Oh,
perfect. It would be
amazing.
ideal, just like
Very
right
nice.
on cue here.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna dive even more on the difference between this new
Hmm.
project, and what you have already. Because when I went on the
Hmm.
website, you could already go and get a lot of the services. But before when we
You
get
can.
there,
Yeah.
let's take a step back and tell
Hmm.
me a little bit more of your background if I miss anything, but also what led
Sure.
you to start why a wedding company?
Yeah. Well, I never thought I'd be here in my life, to be totally honest with you. Fate has a funny way of doing things, and I I started off. I've been an athlete my whole life, to be honest with you. I was in the athletic world for a long time. I was a baseball player, then I became a rower in college. Loved rowing, loved competing in triathlons. That's really where my heart was for the longest time. Um, my cousin was in Spartan races, and I'll try to summarize everything. Yeah, my cousin was a big Spartan racer, and
Oh,
I saw there was no media there. So my business partner and I at the time decided we were going to launch a media company. And, I came out of the world of business, marketing, psychology, found sports really interesting in the media world, because sports just they make a lot of money, but also they draw so much attention. We're watching football every Sunday in the United States. We're drawn into all of these sports, and they become such a part of our lives. And this sport was different. It was actually the opposite way around. You were running it, you were racing it, but you weren't watching it. And I was like, well, that there's something wrong there. So I built a media company to allow you to watch it. And that was very difficult at the time because trail running, Spartan races, they were so spread out. So we had a big crew, we were traveling the world, and I started to get a lot of attention for my advertising kind of marketing side of things, right? I was designing commercials for sponsors. I was helping them get in the game. Yeah, And so I said to my partner at the time, this is where we should be headed. We should be, doing small business work. We should be, helping them with social media content, with production, etc. And that took a lot of work. So we got that all up and running in 2019. We were just starting to pay back all of the immense amount of loans it took to start the company and put us under because of all the equipment. It's very expensive, and then 2020 came and it wiped us out, and we went back to zero and had nothing. And it was a really interesting dilemma, and we sat there on our hands not knowing what to do. And then someone found us on a website because we were under weddings and events, because businesses found us under that events section. And I said, "Can you do my wedding?" I had nothing to do at that time, so I said, "Sure, I'll go photograph your wedding." And left me a 5-star review, and I'll never forget it because I went, "How in the world can I get a 5-star review if I've never done this before?" And so that really led me. It sparked something in my brain, and we did another 5. The inquiries started to flood in. And we get 5-star after 5-star after 5-star after 5-star. And now my business partner's doing wedding photography as well and videography. And he said to me, "What's happening here?" And I said, "I don't know." So we looked on the site and we found that there were incredible creatives out there, but they didn't know how to manage a business. And in the wedding world, in the events world, I'd say 90% of it is organization and 10% of it's creative. Because yes, everyone wants the beautiful photo, but from a creative standpoint, all of the organizational aspects lead to the beautiful photo, right? Making sure that the family is around, making sure you know what's happening when it's happening, making sure that you have the personality to command the actual the people around you and get them into position, and then taking the photo, editing it. That all happens kind of after, right? It's not an afterthought, but it's the process that's happening afterwards. So what I realized was, if I focus really hard on all of the organizational aspects, the marketing, the sales, the business side of things, teaching people through the academy how to command individuals, but do it in a polite and inviting way, that was going to be highly successful. And it was. In first year, we do 146 weddings.
Oh,
Second,
wow.
yeah, second year out. So in 2020, we do 146 weddings. Second year out, we go ahead and we do around 447 weddings.
How does that
And
even work? Because there's only so many weeks, and I feel, do people get married on like regular, or you do multiple weddings on a weekend, or I don't know, maybe people get
yeah.
married during the week too, but that's crazy.
Yeah, so we start bringing on multiple photographers. We buy all of the equipment. We buy everything. We teach them through this academy of how we
Oh,
want you to shoot. And that was the big piece of like, "Hey, this is what we have found works really well. Like, please replicate it. If you're going to be representing us, like, this is how you have to replicate it." And so we established this kind of hub and spoke system where people come to us, they get their equipment, we maintenance it during the week, they go and then take it out. And now we're doing anywhere from, you know, 10 to 50 weddings per weekend. Sometimes we're doing 50 on a day, right? Like it's getting that
what?
crazy. Yeah.
That
Oh
is
yeah.
crazy.
And so the third year we do 876 weddings. And so now we're pulling in DJs, we're pulling in coordinators and planners. We're doing still photography and video, and we have a whole staff of, at this point, I think it was around 80 vendors underneath us that were working for us. And
Oh,
yeah, and then fourth year we go and we do 1,200. So this is when it gets a little crazy. We're doing 1,200 weddings and events. We have a massive staff. They're all coming to the office, and I'm not gonna lie to you, things start breaking down. Um, and they're breaking down in a few ways. Number one, very difficult to handle that many couples because they all have demands, they all have things they need, and one individual centralizing things just doesn't work. But the problem still remains. The vendors need a lot of support, and the couples need a lot of support. The vendors don't know how to give it to the couple properly, don't have the time, don't have the wherewithal, and quite frankly, you don't want them to. You want the vendor to be able to focus on the creativity because that's what makes them so great. And for the couple, you want to handle them from the business side and take care of them and make sure that they have everything they need, right? From that side. So again, we kind of reach this crossroads where you have the vendor that still needs your help. You have the couple that needs, all of that support. But as a staff, the overhead grew way too high, essentially. And one of the things that killed us is during 2020 to about 2023, a cost per acquisition cost, so customer acquisition cost, was around $130 to $150.
Was that for a vendor or for like a customer, like a
That
couple?
that was a couple. So
A
that was for
couple.
the couple. The customer acquisition cost was around 130 to 150. Um, there were sites like Wedding Wire, The Knot, Thumbtack, Zola. They were averaging around $20 to $60 per person per lead. By 2023 and 2024, they were now averaging lead costs of $250 to $320 per lead. Our customer acquisition cost went up to $500 per customer.
And
So
what's an average amount that they would spend, I guess, like on that?
$1,800.
Okay, so it's still, and you have to
So
pay all those people and everything, and yeah, well,
correct,
yeah, yeah.
correct. So the costs don't work anymore, which is really fascinating. And this is where the dilemma, when the crossroad starts to come of like we want to expand. We see that this is helping more customers. We see that vendors are, really enjoying our system and it's helping them grow, but we just can't incorporate both, right? Like we don't have the ability to help everyone here. So um, yeah, that kind of leads us to what happened today, which I'm more than happy to chat about what we're gonna do. But that's my background. That's how this all started. It really started. It's a really bizarre story that I can't believe I'm in weddings, and at the same time, doing 1,200 a year. Um, I actually love working with couples. It's one of those things where, yeah, it's tough. It's a difficult industry, but at the same time, it's extremely rewarding when you get it right and you can figure out how to help these people who this is the only time in their life. This is the most
Oh
important
yeah.
day of their life.
I
So it's so
absolutely
rewarding.
love weddings. Like I'm recently engaged myself, so next year we're getting
Yeah,
married. So I'm like
awesome.
in the process of like, looking, and which is also why it was really interesting when I saw what you were doing, because
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, this is kind of, I get everything in one spot here. And I know like things like the
Yeah,
knot and stuff like do have those, but they do so much in that one that I feel like a
hmm,
lot of people go out and look for their own different vendors. Whereas
yeah,
when I went on to your website, it felt like, okay, so that's what you do. Just give me a list of different
hmm,
vendors. And it's not just like everything about the wedding, it's like everything that usually would need to be booked more so they
yeah,
can coordinate with each other. So like it was perfect.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I
Well,
absolutely love this.
yeah, and one of the things that they do, which is really troubling, is they kind of short sell you, which I don't know. They say to you, "Hey, listen, come here. We're gonna give you everything." Like Zola, their ads actually say what we're doing in them, and I've gotten so many people be like, "Hey, did you know Zola did this?" And then I go
Mhm.
investigate. I'm like, "No, they don't. What they do is they basically say to you, "Hey, here's a vendor. We think that they're someone you might like because of your budget, and then like, good luck."
Yeah.
And what we do is so much different because we go on there and we say, hey, listen, okay, number one, we have this new matching system where you put in a bunch of qualities about your wedding, whether it be style, whether it be budget, whether it be, moments you're looking for. And we say, listen, a 6 hour package is what you're looking for, or this is the package that you're looking for. No, hey, argue with price. All of our pricing is the same across all of our vendors.
Okay.
We're thinking about changing that at some point, but like all of our pricing is the same. So it doesn't matter. Now you get to find a vendor that actually speaks to you from their photos, from their reviews, from everything. So you find that package, you find that vendor, and you can just go check out. There's nothing else that you have to do. We're available
Yeah.
24/7. We have chat bots, we have that connect directly to us. We have phone, you can call, you can text, whatever have you. But once you figure that out, you can put that in your cart with three different, services. So photo, video, DJ. I want 6 hours of photo, 6 hours of video, and 4 hours of DJ starting at this time. And you can click checkout. And when you check out, you can pay with your credit card or Affirm. You can sign your contract right there. We don't hide anything. Scroll through it all, see your contract, choose your person. And when you pay, the vendor gets a piece, we get a piece, and now you're booked. And now the real fun happens because we have an entire dashboard, just like Wedding Wire and Knot, but it's much more intuitive, where you can now make your payments. You can build your wedding board. You can build your entire timeline, and then you can share it with your vendors. And in that timeline, you can put your shot lists. You can put your music selection, and your DJ, your photographer, they're all going to see it right there. So it's really nice. When your photography is done, they can upload their photos right to your wedding website, and now all of your galleries are there. You can download them, you can choose them, you can chat with your vendor, you can message them. Your
All on the
contracts,
website?
all there. Your
Yeah.
contracts there. Your reviews are there, so we always are asking for reviews because that's the only way our guys know how to get better. And so, yeah, we've again, doing this for so long, I've seen the pain points, I've seen what vendors need, and I've seen what couples need. And we literally threw everything away for 8 months to understand this and to make it better. And that's what, we've served New England because we're based out of Mass for a long time, and we're going to continue to do that for this year. But in 2026, we really hope to go nationwide with this because we think that it can
Okay.
really help couples across the nation.
Okay, yes, I was gonna ask where are you based and where, I guess, what area do you
Mhm.
service, but you answered that question. So hopefully, like the whole like United States completely in like next year. Uh,
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
2026.
And in
Yeah.
terms of vendors, so how do you get those vendors? Because you mentioned like
Mm,
training them and things like that. So,
mm.
and I see there's such a large repertoire of them on the
Yeah.
website.
Yeah.
So do they come to you? Do you go find, like, how do you go find them? Which is also why I was wondering if the customer acquisition cost included
Mm.
getting the
The
vendors too, if you
vendors.
have to.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of them come to us, to be honest with you. We've kept a pretty small staff at this point. We're about to expand them, so we are going to have some reach out. Um, so that is going to be involved for sure. We it's kind of a combination. I mean, people have known the Be Remembered name around New England, which has been really nice. We need to expand it more. But as they see us reaching out to couples and working with them, because we work with so many vendors on site, we have just kind of collected emails, accounts on social media and using those to reach out to them and just say, hey, is this something you're interested in? Now, I will say we are pausing the academy at this time. We essentially what we have is an onboarding process that verifies them, runs background checks on them. Um, Actually analyzes their photos so that way we grade them based off of that, and we keep them, we are working to keep a higher quality of vendors on our site. And then we're going to go ahead and reinstitute our academy where we can take on, just as we grow, we can take on lower quality is not the word, but more novice individuals and train them to be at the level that we're expecting.
So, some of those that are not novice, I would say they probably already
Mhm.
had their business before, like their own like social
Mhm.
media and things like that, their own prices. So then how do
Mhm.
you, when they come in and board them and get
Mhm.
them to either have like a similar I know you said you're maybe going to change that after and they can have a little bit
Mhm.
of flexibility in that, but for now, how is it that they get to the same around the same price points? Because I've seen like while looking for photographers just in general, like it could
Yeah.
range by like thousands.
Yeah.
And also, um, oh, what was I going to ask? I guess we'll start with that one.
Sure.
That part.
Yeah, I mean, that's super simple. The way we have it right now is we set pricing. So when you come on as a vendor, you choose, we have packages for 5 hours, for 6 hours, all of these different things. You can toggle on the 5 hour package that the couple sees. if you want to show up for that package. If you want to show up in that region for that package for all of these things, you can toggle it on. If that's not the price range, then you're not going to
You're
work
not
with us at
best
this
fit.
time.
Okay. Okay.
And the reason we're doing that is because I'm with you. I'm actually I got engaged to my fiance in June, and
Oh
I've been
yeah,
in
same
this.
with you.
Oh, did you really? Yeah, yeah. So we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
So it's been very exciting, but I hear you. I mean, this industry needs some consolidation in prices. It's a mess. And it's just not, for the couple, that's one of the first things to deal with is, and what I find too, I've seen guys who just don't know how to market themselves, and I'm using guys as a general term
Yeah.
for vendors. They just don't know how to market themselves, and they're putting themselves at $1,000 to 500. I've also seen, and this drives me insane. You'll have, but I do understand where they're coming from. You'll have a vendor that goes out there and they say, okay, I've done 10 weddings. Someone said my photos were incredible. Now I'm going to jack my prices up to $5,000.
Yeah.
And they have two choices, right? They can either run around and keep doing, 50 to 60 weddings per year, or they can go ahead and jack those prices up if they want to try to make this a full-time thing. But the problem is now you have 200 photographers in an area all competing for the top 11% of individuals because most can't actually afford that.
Afford that. Yeah.
So what you have happening is, sure, they're $5,000. They say they're worth it, and maybe they get 5 to 10 a year, but that's not enough to live off of. So I find a lot of them using Be Remembered to supplement their business and to actually come in and to get those other 25 jobs through us.
Okay.
So
So I'll let you
yeah,
finish first.
yeah, I tend to find that. I also find a lot who say, yes, I'm not getting 5,000, but the amount of costs it takes me in time and energy to get those, 10 couples at $5,000, they don't have to do that with us, right? They're not marketing themselves. They're not selling themselves. They're not paying anything to be
It's
on
just
our platform.
extra.
It's free. It's just extra. It's
Yeah.
actually like pure profit for them. So it's a much better system. It makes more sense on that side.
So they could still be charging a different price just on their own, and then
Mhm.
the price that you set kind of like on that website, so people could just like either book through you with that price, or they could go with that person for a higher price.
They could. Yeah, a lot of people coming through us because they know they can get them for a better price, and that's fair. One of the things that we want to institute in the future, and this is coming, down the line, is for our team members who have done 50, 100, 250 with Be Remembered, allowing them to increase their pricing on our site to another level. So we would have basically a basic tier of photography that was say $1,000 for 4 hours, and then the great, or the person who's done 50 weddings with us now can increase their price to 1,500. The person that does 200 weddings with us can get their price to 2,000 or 2,500, right? And so that way a couple can go ahead and decide. A couple might say, hey, listen, I'm looking at Daniel Krikorian. His photos look great, and he's a basic photographer, so I'm gonna get him for $1,000, and like that's a great win. They may compare him to to Jacqueline's photography, and Jacqueline might be priced at 2,000, and they say, hey, listen, Jacqueline's worth it. Like, look at all these 5-star reviews. She has more reviews, she has a bigger gallery, so forth and so on, and they may choose that that's worth it for them. So I think that, when our academy system comes back into play, I think that's when we'll institute that, because the novices will be at that bottom price. They won't have as many reviews. They'll have good photos, but they won't have as many reviews. And then you can step up. I want, my whole thing is I want to reward great vendors. I want to keep them on
Yeah.
the platform. I want you to be able to connect with them, but I also want them to be affordable for individuals, and I want individuals to have that choice. Like it's all about giving individuals choice, and also allowing them to come in and compare them head to head though too. You go out there and you see a great photographer that's $5,000, and you see another great photographer that's two, and you sit there as a couple and you say, what's the difference? I just don't
Yeah.
know. Where now it's just like, oh, the difference is this person did 560 weddings with Be Remembered, and this person only did 100, and this person has 200 5-star reviews, and this person has 4. So that's that way you can actually compare apples to apples.
So you do the hard work of trying to figure out where they stand compared to each other, kind of in terms of experience, in terms of reviews and
Mhm.
stuff that usually people will have to go out on each website and try to figure out, okay, those are the reviews, those are the pictures, and like you kind of doing that difficult part for them and being like, hey, you
Correct.
still have a budget. You can go
Hmm.
according to the budget soon here, but
Hmm.
you get to choose like, and here's why it's different. That's great. Now I'm
Yeah.
thinking a lot of vendors listening would probably be thinking, okay, so how does it work in term, and I don't, it depends on how much you can say on that, but
Hmm.
basically you said you get a piece, they get a piece, so how does it work
Yeah.
for them in that
Sure.
aspect?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're new at this game. We decided to go full technology on this side just recently. We were hand jamming it. It's funny because there's a lot of reviews about Be Remembered out there, and they were during the peak time of Be Remembered reaching 1,200, and a lot of them were saying how this photographer wasn't great or this photographer had a
Yeah.
problem, right? And so now we have to, just to speak on that real quick, now we have to go ahead and make it so people know that we're no longer that anymore. We're not selling you Be Remembered anymore. We're selling you Daniel Krikorian, and you get to choose and have that opinion. um, that being said, right now we're taking a 50-50 split because of the amount of money we're spending on marketing, on
Yeah.
budget, I'm sorry, on technology, on everything across the board. And we're giving vendors an entire platform that they can run their business through,
Yeah.
which is really nice to organize. It incorporates Google Calendar, it's sending them alerts. It is a much more intuitive wedding system that I just haven't seen out there because God knows I've looked.
Yeah.
Um, the goal is as we expand nationwide, we have a larger footprint. We can go ahead and drop that percentage for us and provide them with more.
Okay.
That's something, we're way more hands-on. We're considered SaaS marketplace.
Yeah.
So we're providing the vendors and the couples with a SaaS-based system. And
Yeah.
then we're also providing a marketplace where you connect. So we'd like to be closer to 25% for all for us and giving vendors 75%. But again, we have to figure out how to drive that marketing cost down because right now, if, $550 acquisition cost, it's just not,
Yeah.
obtainable for anyone.
Do you get pushback on that when they say 50-50, or is it clear? Like, do they understand how much work you have to put on your side and how much easier it is? Or do you think, like, yeah, a lot of vendors just say, oh, no, thank you, just because of that?
It's a split, and that's something again we want to provide them with more. So I would understand where they're coming from. I think the ones who consider and have been in our system actually think that's very fair
Okay.
because they sit there and they're like, I don't have to do much. Like I literally have to just take care of these customers. I don't have the cost, and it is really kind of pure profit for them. So the ones who take that look at things tend to be very happy with it. The ones who are just like, I need to get paid more. And it's like, well, you are getting paid more, but remember, you know, when it isn't this, when it's the 5 grand, like yes, some of that money is coming into your pocket, but a lot's coming out as well to pay for, you know, the Square, all of the fees that come through Square,
They
Stripe, or
don't have
whatever
to.
platform. Right, all of the SaaS platforms that or the CRM systems that you're using, the website server that you're paying for with Wix, with
Yeah.
Squarespace, right? Like the marketing cost that you're paying to Thumbtack, to Wedding Wire, to The Knot, to Zola, right? A lot of them are not calculating the amount that costs. And again, our perspective is if we're doing 5,000 weddings a year. Well, now just a pure um, quantity, we can go ahead and we can drive down our marketing costs and spread it out across every booking. And that makes it so we don't have to take as much to go ahead and to pay for those costs. So, if it's $1,800 and it's a 50-50 split, they get 900, we get 900. Well, we just spent $550 of that 900 going ahead and paying for the lead and then paying for the platform. And by the time it comes to us, we're at
Yeah.
$50, right? So like it's not as profitable for us as we'd like. And so,
Yeah.
but we see the potential in it. I mean, the potential is if we can get, across this nation and we're doing 50,000 a year, and even if we are still getting $50, in profit per job, that now makes sense for us. So that's huge.
Yeah, and for going nationwide or even just right now,
Hmm.
how do you factor in like travel costs? Because I noticed a lot of times if
Hmm.
the need to travel, let's just say more than like an hour or something, there is a certain
Hmm.
amount of cost associated with it. Especially I live in the
Yeah.
country, so a lot of
Yeah.
like coming from
Same.
Halifax or something, they're like, sure, but it will like I'll have to drive like 2, 3 hours, so you'll have to pay for
Yeah.
that. So how do you factor in those? Or maybe you guys don't.
Sure. Well, no, so there's two things that we do. We've actually chopped states up into multiple regions. So Massachusetts
Okay.
alone, I think, has 5 to 6 regions. You as a
Okay.
vendor can choose where you're going to work. You can choose, again, the packages that you're going to show up for. You can choose your style, what languages you speak. So all of these factor into how we go ahead and we recommend a vendor to you.
Hmm.
So that's the really nice piece here is, we're asking you all of these questions so we can actually say to you, hey, listen, there is no travel fee. This is the price that you
Yeah.
pay. There's no additional, fees involved here. Um, so that's a big piece of it. We really want to go ahead and make it so it's a simple process for everyone, and
Yeah, really
yeah.
simplifying it.
Yeah,
So
and local
now,
too. I get a lot of people,
yeah,
and this is a big thing we have to change. We get a lot of people who say, "Oh, you're not local. You're based in Massachusetts," and it's like, no, we're not local, but Dan's photography is
yeah,
literally in your area. Otherwise, I
yeah,
won't show up for you. So that's
yeah,
huge.
yeah, exactly. That makes sense too. Yeah, because like also, well, maybe while it's still small, but I'm sure once it's all over the United States, it won't be like, well, you're all the way across the other side of the country.
Yeah.
Like, how does it work?
Well,
I think it would make more sense then that it would be in their area.
totally. I've had
Than,
to fight Yelp actually. They were super funny because I was like, Yelp, we're not local anymore. Like we are changing our entire model. Please stop showing us as Westboro, Massachusetts. It's really
yeah,
making this a
it's very
problem
difficult.
because people are
Yeah,
like, I don't want to book you. You're not local.
it's
I'm
so
like,
far. Yeah,
no, like Joe, one of my guys, Joe, lives literally in your town. He is
yeah,
local, okay? And
yeah. You're like,
so
I'm just on the computer. Like, I could
right,
be
like
anywhere.
I'm just a platform, guys. Like I am
Yeah.
truly the platform here with a bunch of extras involved. SaaS, everything from a CRM for our vendors, and so yeah, no, it's very difficult. A lot of these,
Yeah.
the Google business profiles, the Yelps,
Yeah.
getting them to adjust. I had a conversation with one of them. I was like, "Do I have to literally rebuild my business and change the name to get you guys to do this?" And they were like, "It's not a bad idea." I was like, No, no, I'm not doing
So
that."
that was a rhetorical question. I didn't
Yeah.
mean to actually.
I was joking. Like,
Yeah.
please have a sense of humor. And they're like, sorry, sir, if you're going to talk like that, I'm going to hang up on you. I'm like, thanks, Yelp.
Oh,
So,
it's the
yeah.
first person I heard who got into a fight with Yelp. I was like, I didn't even, I just thought Yelp was, I didn't think you pick up the phone and like talk to them about, hey, what are you doing kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's
Well, they don't
interesting.
talk to you. They are, yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah, it's
one-sided.
interesting. Yeah, we're us, someone calls me. It's so funny. People call me and they're just like, hey, I need help with my wedding. Where should I propose to my girlfriend? I'm like,
Well,
all
maybe you
right,
should add
well,
this in there. It's like a
yeah, I'm
service.
like, well, it's funny too because we use some AI in our platform, and the only reason we're using it is because there's so many small tasks that can be done with it that actually free up our time to have more human on human connection, and that's what I really wanted to use it for. Of like, if you're having trouble with payment, you can use AI to figure out how to do that and to get there quickly instead of picking up the phone and calling me. But when you need help, now my time is freed up to talk to you and say, okay, listen, you know, that timeline that you have, and we actually have this is really cool, but in our timeline, if you have overlapping events, if you have if you put in your getting ready and then your first look and they overlap, it sends you an alert and it says like overlapping by 10 minutes, or it says, 15-minute break, and it shows that to your vendor too. So your vendor can go in, and I've had this a bunch of times where I've said like 15 minutes is not enough. We have to travel 20 minutes,
Yeah.
right? So putting in those pieces and sharing it with your vendor, I think just opens a massive amount of communication, and I have access to everyone's timeline too. So you can call me here or one of our team, and we can say, all right, I'm looking at your timeline. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that. We've done this, for years now. I would put 30 minutes in there. So again, the not wedding wire, your Yelps, your business, your Zolas, they just don't have that type of help because they're not involved. They're just a billboard company, essentially, is what they are. We're a wedding company. We've always been one. We're not going to change that. We love helping couples. And even if we're not on site, we're going to continue doing that.
And so you said the AI part in that
Mm,
business. I like talk to me a little bit more about maybe the part about adding a break and things like that. That's AI, but
mm,
it
mm.
sounds like such like a person-driven business, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, and I do know because AI is in everything. So I do
Yeah.
understand that, like, yeah, every business, like, even behind the scenes. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe you just use it for like organization stuff, like planning,
Mm,
or maybe you use it more on like a direct basis with like vendors or customers or things
yeah.
like that.
Both. So one of the craziest things is that AI, I was able to plug it into our database. So, if customers need immediate assistance and we're not available at 12 p.m. at night, or I'm sorry, 12 a.m., right? And you're just like, you need simple tasks such as, hey, where do I find this? What should I do? It has access to your timeline. It has access to your your vendors. It can go ahead and you can ask it whatever you'd like, and it's so good at directing people more than anything. That's kind of what we're using it for, directing them, and even saying to them, hey, listen, let's schedule a call with a wedding professional because they're going to be able to help you here. And so, jumping on and schedule, and it can schedule a call, and it can put it on our calendars, and it can make it so at 10 a.m. on a Monday that they're chatting with you. So that those simple steps, that they're not a waste. That's not the right way to put it, but couples are so busy, they just don't have the time. And when they're in the middle of planning, you don't want to wait for a wedding
Be
professional. So
interrupted.
if it can, so if it can help you, or if it can book a schedule, if it can look through my schedule and say Dan's open at 10 a.m. And
Yeah.
so you don't have to go to that other page and look. And it's one extra thing that you don't have the time for. And for us, it makes us so much more efficient because we just see new 10 a.m. call. Great. We see all the details because you've been chatting with our chatbot, or you've been doing this, and we can see everything that you said. And we can now jump in and just say, you know, hi, Jacqueline, how can we help you? And, I
Yeah.
saw that you were talking about this. This is what I would recommend. And Jacqueline now has catered information to her, immediately. And we can jump, right into it. And I just feel the sense of relief from brides specifically when they
Yeah.
feel taken care of. That matters so much in the experience of things. And even though we're a platform, I still want you to have a great experience with us.
Yeah.
And um, when people listen and they care, and it's just so much better. And
Yeah, but then that
yeah,
brings me to what if they don't feel catered for because you have so many
mm,
vendors and stuff. So what if one of them doesn't do a good job either on the
yeah,
spot there or mostly things like not communicating properly or because that's
yeah,
also something as people planning for their own wedding, especially the bride, I feel like it's so um stressful to be like, oh, I hope my catering
hmm,
doesn't, like
mess up.
leave me
Yeah,
hanging or something
yeah,
like that. So how do
yeah.
you handle those things? Would probably happen at some point.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally, absolutely. They already have, and this is the difference because you connect with someone on the knot, and you start chatting with them, you book them, and now they're terrible.
Yeah.
What do you do? Right? Are you calling the knot? The knot's not going to pick up. They don't care. So the beauty with our system is you can call us. We will talk to your vendor. We will say to them, we know them.
Yeah.
We say, what's going on? How can we help? Is it a problem with you guys? Do we need to go ahead and swap you out? Can we
Yeah.
swap you out? Is there someone else available? Right? Um, Again, there's that sense of we're available for you.
Yeah.
Now, you have a bad experience. Maybe the photographer wasn't as good as you thought they were.
Yeah.
You can leave them a review. And the way our system works is actually twofold. Number one, Now, people will be able to see that review on their profile. It's going to be the latest. That is a death sentence to any
Hmm.
vendor, which actually is a great pressure on them to make sure to get it right. But on the other side of things too is if your reviews drop too low, you don't show up for us.
Okay.
So we actually have it as 3.5, which is a really high threshold. We warned vendors before that, but if you're below a 3.5, you don't show up to
Yeah.
other couples to get booked. It's
Okay.
that simple.
Fair.
Um, we just, again, it's our reputation on the line, and even though you're booking them through our site, we know that you used us, and we love that. We want to encourage you to continue using us for the next event, or or recommending it to your bridesmaids and your groomsmen. So yeah, that matters for us, and 3.5 is the threshold. But that's how we take care of it currently.
Good. Okay. I'm glad to hear that that you have that like quality assurance kind of there.
Yeah, yeah.
Did it ever happen that a vendor just did not show up? Or
Hmm.
if that would happen, like how would you manage that? Because it's like too late
Yeah,
at that point, kind of.
yeah. So with the new site, no, we haven't had that happen. With the old way of doing things, I've had vendors show up late, and it's
Mm,
very irritating and very troubling. And I take some blame for that because, again, I think our automated system, I would have put that in place a long time ago, where it constantly hit them and saying, show up, at this time, 2 days out, 3 days out, 1 day out, etc., and pinging them constantly. Because some of these guys just aren't as organized. And so giving them emails, text messages, using current technology to ping them to get them on site at the right time, I think is massive. Um, One time I had someone not show up, and one of the reasons why was sadly the couple booked the wrong date. The fiance
oh,
booked the wrong date in our system, and so we thought it was us. They're calling us, screaming, and they signed the contract showing it was the wrong date. I still felt terrible.
yeah,
Um,
but
we've had people, actually, I think we have had one individual not show up or be on site and have issues, and so we actually sent someone else to be there.
okay.
And they were there late, but they were there, and
Yeah.
they got photos, and that's what mattered. Um, Again, we're switching the the dynamic here. So, you know, before you chatted with us, you didn't chat with your vendor as much. We took care of everything. Now you're chatting with your vendor. You're in communication with them. You're in full communication and full access to them. We're pinging your vendor, even though that's the case constantly. So if your vendor's not chatting with you and you're not having a good experience with them,
You
the
know,
hope is
yeah.
we're going to find out about that a lot sooner and
Yeah.
be able to fix it before that ever happens. So, usually with any person you hire, you're going to feel that sign that something's,
Yeah.
they're not acting the way you want, and then you're going to review them poorly, and then they're not going to be on our site. So,
Yeah.
yes, one customer may have that bad experience once, but the hope is that as more reviews come in, as that all gets flushed out, um, you're going to see those signs. You're not going to book them in the first place. You're only going to book a person that you feel certain about. Um, and good vendors are going to prevail. Essentially, is what's going to happen.
Okay.
So
And you mentioned you did like a quality check too before. Is that just like a
yeah.
criminal background check?
No, so we actually go through their photos. Like you have to submit photos, submit URLs. So if you have a current business, we're checking the website, your website. We're checking
Okay.
Google for reviews. We're also doing a criminal background check as well. So we actually have an API built in. We're running a criminal background check on you
Oh,
to
okay.
make
So they
sure
don't
that
have
you're
to go.
verified.
Oh, okay. So it's not like they
Yeah.
go to the police station and get it done and submit the paper. It's like
No.
you. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
no, no, no.
interesting.
Yeah. With technology now, we basically run you through a bunch of systems, and we can go ahead and see everything. And it's funny, like this is where AI comes in. So AI jumps on there, and we have it search every website that you show up for and report it to us. And then that way, it takes out, what would have been 2 hours of time doing research on a new vendor. Now it's boiled down to
Yes.
5 minutes, right? And we're just like, okay, this person, it actually rates them too, and we're just like, so if we see below a B, we're now looking and being like, what happened? Is there a bad review? What's it saying about X, Y, and Z? Um, and then from the we just use a standard background check system that's out there on the internet we pay for, and then it just runs you through there with your approval, and we get a report. So
So
yeah.
with all of this that you already put it in place to make sure the customers get the best experience, do they sometimes still blame Be Remembered instead of a vendor if something doesn't go as planned? Is that like common or?
So we'll find out. With the new site, I'm hoping that they realize, well, they're going to have so much more control now, picking the vendor, booking the vendor, dealing with the vendor. So I would assume that dynamic changes. In the past, yes, they would still blame Be Remembered, even if they had a bad experience with one of our photographers. And it was very difficult too, because number one, you can't please everyone. But number two, you had a lot of vendors who I've worked with. They're phenomenal vendors. I've never had an issue with them in their life. They have one bad day and they just don't jive with that couple, and that couple's now, tagging Be Remembered with a 1 star, saying that they're having a
Mhm.
terrible experience with Eric. And you're just like, I know Eric, I love Eric. What's going on here? Now the other bit of it too, which does it stink for Eric to get a 1 star? Yes, but he also now gets to read his own reviews and say, "Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that." So it's also a growth opportunity for a lot of these vendors too. And before, what would happen is we would get a 1 star as Be Remembered, and it would be about, Eric's experience and whatever have you. And Eric's not a real person, just using that for example. Um, but Eric never saw that, and he never was involved in that. And so, if it was deadly, if it was something that was terrible, like, we would have to let Eric go in the past. But now people can just see, Eric can see it, and he can say Jesus, and he can call them even, or respond, and he can say, guys, I had no idea. I'm sorry. Most of it is not out of malice. Most of it
Yeah.
was them trying to give a good experience, and maybe they had a bad day. Maybe their girlfriend broke up with them the day before.
Yeah.
You
And
just
then
don't
during the
know.
wedding.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? Like, we're all human. And, like, listen, that can happen to me. I have bad days. It's like, what are you gonna do? So, a lot of the times people think it's out of malice, though, and I think that's just societally speaking. They're just like, he didn't want us to be a part of my wedding. And it's like, no, he probably just had a really bad thing happen to him. And, when you have 500 5-star reviews and then you have one,
Yeah.
I have to rack it up to Eric just having a bad day. Um,
And people do know
yeah.
that too when they're looking through. Because I'm speaking for myself, if I go and look through, like, I don't know, like Amazon reviews or something, there's always one or two like negative reviews, but then
Yeah.
maybe it's still overall 5 star or 4 star. So it's kind of
Right.
like hopefully people don't just take that one as, oh,
Yeah.
well, we'll never book with that person. I feel like, yeah.
Totally. And one of the things that we do on the back end as well is we actually have a rewards program we're rolling out for vendors too. So we really want to encourage them to get 5-star reviews. We're doing everything. We give bonuses for 5 stars. We give or I should say bonuses for points. We're really encouraging them to share the site, to interact with it, to message people. You're getting a point for every message. So, like, we're really using technology again to just create a better experience across the board. Every time you send a message, we want to give you a point. Every time that that you're helping them with your timeline, we're giving you a point. It's just these small things that matter, and that should matter to you and to the couple. So there's a lot of fun things that technology can do, and we were just missing that. By manually doing it, we were giving people more personalized experiences until we weren't, right? Until you're stretched so thin, you can only do so much. Maybe you don't have that understanding, and technology can do 90% of that, so we can really zero in on that 10% and create a better day for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because I know when you were answering questions a couple of times you mentioned, so now what we do, I'm assuming you meant as of today, the launch for the new
As of today
thing.
at 8
So,
p.m., yes, correct.
yeah. So, like,
Yes.
just like briefly summarize until today, kind of the
Mm,
process of what they were doing, like quickly compared to the new one, just so,
yeah.
because at some point I was like, oh, when you say like we've been doing that recently, I'm like, old one, new one. Like basically, how is the new one different and better?
Totally. Yeah. Well, so what I've spoken to you about today, the timeline, the booking of the individual, all of that, that's all new. That
Okay.
that has not been available.
Okay.
The way it worked 2020, like pre 2024, um, what would happen is you would inquire, we would chat with you, we would send over an invoice and a contract you'd pay. We would go ahead and we'd pair you to the best individual for you. They would go out and perform that. We would handle all the rest, and then we would send you all of the content, for photo, for video, and then DJ and coordination, all of that. They would handle it, right? Um, 2024, we experimented with a new site using like a Wix system where it had some booking elements, but they would cause some serious issues. It would have, you could pay for the deposit through there, but then we'd have to send you an invoice, which would make a lot of problems. The contract had to be in terms and conditions, and over here, that would confuse a lot of people. We could show you your vendors, and if you figured out how to choose one, you could choose it on our site as well, and you could see their portfolios, but their portfolios only allowed you to have X amount of photos in them. It didn't allow you to see reviews. So we've been making this gradual transition, but a lot of people didn't even find the vendors on our site, even though it was under Meet the Team. So, now when you add it to cart, it now says choose your vendor, and you have to choose, and you put in your address, you put in the start time, you put in the date, and then it shows you vendors specifically in that area on that, date, etc. So it's things like that that we're really working hard to do, right? It's just like making this process so streamlined. And then after you've booked and you've had this great process booking, well, now not only are we, making it streamlined, but now we're giving you true tools. So there's a site out there, Aisle Planner, where you can build timelines and layouts and all of that. We have it. It's all here. So now your bookings are in the same place, your contracts in the same place. You don't have to upload them.
That's
Your
now.
payments are in the same place. It's all
Okay.
here. Just, everything. Again, that's where the SaaS platform comes in. It's like everything that you need for your day is in this site. That's why we want venues on here. We want
Yeah.
caterers on here. We want, everyone on here, so that way you don't even have to think about it. It's all here for you.
So when they're paying, then do they pay the full amount or do they pay like half upfront
Sure.
and then
Yeah, we take 50% down to book, which is pretty industry standard.
yeah.
One thing that we're working right now, which will be available very soon, is using a firm as well. So being able
Yeah.
to check out with a firm, so you can break those payments up even more, which is massive for you. And we know, especially when it comes to booking your photographer, your videographer, your DJ, your coordinator, all of those, that adds up. That's a big lump
Yes.
sum, and a lot of people don't have that to put down all at once. And so allowing you to take that, 10, 20, maybe even when venues on here, $50,000 bill, and be able to break it up into multiple pieces is a massive win for them and for us, because now, again, easier for you. You can book all on our site, and
Yes.
you can go ahead and break those payments up. So that's huge. Yeah,
And is the old website going to be obsolete
pretty
starting
much. Yeah,
today? Okay,
yeah,
so only
yeah,
going to use BeRemembered.io as from,
yeah.
I guess, today.
Correct. Yeah, we're moving
Okay.
off all of those sites, just to make life easier for everyone.
Okay, perfect. Just two last questions here. So much
Sure.
information. I feel like I had a couple notes and then I just went on to whatever direction that the conversation was in. I was like, I don't even know what notes I had. But I guess one of the things I had there, one of the cheesy ones is like, what is
Mm,
your, I guess 1 year plan. I have a little bit of an idea based on what you said, but what's your
mm,
long-term plan for Be Remembered or Be Remembered Academy for
mm.
just in general?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, our goal is to be really global at this point.
Okay.
This to me is a great tool, both for couples and for vendors. And I think for so long, these other sites have focused on helping the couple. And as great as that is, and I think we do a better job than them at that, um, they didn't help the vendor first. And so my goal is to support the vendor so that way the couple gets a better experience. It's a more proactive approach, and that's the goal for Be Remembered. The goal for Be Remembered is to offer every service a wedding needs and even an event needs, allow you to book it right through our platform, and to do that throughout the world is truly where our ambitions lie.
Yeah, and last question is what advice would you have for somebody starting their own business and looking at that and being
Mm,
like, okay, like that looks already so intimidating, or
mm,
yeah, I do see like whether it's in the wedding industry or any other industry in general, like I do see some gaps in
mm,
here, or maybe they're like,
mm,
I don't know.
mm,
I'm from Mauritius originally. They're like, well, I want to do that for Mauritius, or even as a
mm,
vendor, but starting their own business. What advice would you have for them?
mm. Yeah, listen. I think that's the biggest thing is always be listening. People will tell you so much. It's absolutely incredible. And as an owner, as someone who's getting into any business, I think even as an employee, this is something that is just completely overlooked. And that is to go ahead and to try to understand the person you're talking to, whether that be a customer, a manager, or someone beneath you. And so many people are so quick to talk. I talk a lot. I know I'm one of them. It's a skill that I work really hard on. But when I'm on the phone with these couples, hearing where they're struggling, and building tools for them, you know, meeting the market where it is instead of trying to recreate it. I think that is something that's so important. Listening to vendors, I send out emails constantly and they message me. I'm not going to be able to do that when we have 5,000 of them, but, you know, giving them the opportunity to talk, not even to make them feel good, which I always is important, to make people feel heard. Um, but for your own benefit, be selfish in it. Just listen to people because they can tell you so much about what you're doing, how to improve it. And I think that that's when things really take off is when you're listening to others.
That's
So,
wonderful. But people might be like worried to start because you're like, oh well, $500 acquisition cost like every month or something like that.
yeah,
Or not every month, but it's like per
per
person,
customer.
per
Yeah.
customer. So they're like, I don't have that much money to put in. Can I still start?
Yeah. Well, knowing the customer acquisition cost of every industry is really important.
Mhm.
I found that this industry does not rely on data at all. Some of the big names do, but the vendors don't. I would say get really smart about your data. There's a lot out there. This industry does not have it. It's a lot of cutesy data, which is like, the industry is doing this. Dresses are the new thing. And it's like
Yeah.
you as a vendor, that doesn't matter. Maybe if you want to create a dress, then you have to be plugged into that. But for a lot of it, um, the data is somewhat useless. So trying to figure out real data, see if there's an opportunity for you. A great opportunity right now is our videographers, for instance. It's not profitable for them anymore,
Mm.
and people don't value video the same way they did 2, 3 years ago with COVID. Um, they want social media reels. They want short.
Yep.
You can put your phone on a gimbal and sell it for $500 and make a much better profit, do much less work from the editing side, and make a fortune. And do, you know, 35, 50 of those a year and have a pretty good little gig. You can't, for video right now, people just aren't booking the big packages that they were. And so it's not profitable. They're not spending 5 grand on it. They want to spend the 500 on the social media person, and they're giving to them on the same day, which feels so much better from our generation because we're
Yeah.
so instantaneous,
Don't want
instant
to wait.
gratification. Right. So it's things like that. Do your research, look at data. Even if you're a creative, you have to do it. If you're going to run a business, you have to do it. You have to look at your data. Um, but yeah, I mean, if it's a $500 acquisition cost where you're going to get it, you have to decide if that risk is worth it. That's where the data needs to help you. And then you just need to dive in. You just need to go for it. And you're going to fail so many times. I mean, I'm rereading Shoe Dog, which is the story of Nike,
Yeah. Nike. Yeah.
and absolutely incredible, Phil Knight, and that poor guy. I mean, I've done it too. I thought I was crazy for the longest time. I've been doing this for 5 years. losing my mind trying
Yeah.
to figure out how to get this global. Um, and I read him, and it actually makes me feel much better because that guy, between the legal troubles to
Yeah.
Nike, and he's at
We're
four
like,
point
he's
eight
been
million
through so
dollars, and he's
much.
yeah, and he's still not profitable. He's still not profitable. He
Oh,
thinks his business is going to collapse every other day. His, amazing wife Penny is it Penny or what was her name? But yeah, she's struggling through the whole thing too. So it's a choice. I feel, you know, the go-go entrepreneur generation, all of this, crazy videos of like, you can do it too. It's like,
yep.
I encourage everyone, if you want to do it, but I also encourage them to look hard at
It's
what it's going
hard
to take
work.
from you because, um, you know, in a as an employee, you deal with one person, you report to one person.
Yep.
As an entrepreneur, I report to every vendor on my platform and every couple on my platform, and they're both very difficult to please. So make your decisions wisely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I bet if you had to do it, you'd do it again though.
I
Or maybe
would.
not.
I would. My fiance probably doesn't think that that's a great idea, but yes, I
Oh,
would do it again.
okay.
She's like,
Okay.
"What are you doing? There's so many
Understand.
easier ways to make money." And I'm like, "I agree with you. Sadly, I'm a sucker for pain, and I
Yeah,
believe
yeah, I
in,
feel like all entrepreneurs kind of are a little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you believe in what you're doing, and ultimately, it's so funny because the reviews they crush me sometimes because they're like,
Yeah.
they don't care, and I'm like, listen, I am up 24 hours of the day caring and trying to figure out how to make this better for you. So it's hard not to take them personal. And at the same, but at the same time, you're like, what am I gonna do? Explain to you my life, and then they're like, you're making excuses. So it's a lose-lose situation. So you just have to take everything for what it's worth, try to understand how you can get better and go. And it doesn't matter the industry, that's always going to happen. So,
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was such valuable information that you gave us today for
thank you.
everybody, for customers, for vendors, for business, or like everybody will get so much from this episode. So thank you very much. Do you have
Thank
any
you.
last things to add, or where else can we? I'll add the website in the
Yeah,
description,
nice.
but anything else that you need
I
us to
don't
know?
know. I think I talked a lot, so I feel bad for your viewers. I hope they they didn't get sick of my voice by the end of it. Um, but no, I mean, you know, um, I don't know. I don't know if I have a lot. I will tell you just a funny thing to end it. I've always empathized with customers and tried to tell them to be or it's your day. Understand it's your day. Don't let anyone ruin it. Don't let anyone get in the way. Don't let your mother of the groom or whatever have you. And then I got engaged, and I'm planning my wedding. And
Yeah,
the pressure from my family, which I never thought I'd have, I know how to push them to the side, but I'm like, this
yeah.
is tough for anyone. I have a newfound appreciation for it. The amount of calls I get during the workday from my mother, and I go, "What's up, mom? How can I help you?" And she goes, "Did you pick a venue yet?" I'm like, "No." No. She's like, okay, well, I'm gonna call back tomorrow. I'm like, my God, okay.
More issues, yeah. Oh yeah.
So I have a newfound appreciation for the planning process from this side of things, and yeah, definitely, I get it, but just gotta take a deep breath and get it done.
Wonderful. And hopefully, because you know all the behind the scenes, you're helping your fiance with planning it and not letting her
I'm
do it.
I'm giving her everything. I'm like, honey, here are the
I
five
feel like she's
venues.
a
Here,
website for you. You can go
yeah,
and
yeah,
make
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, my God, that's been the running joke with all my friends. They're just like, "You are using his website, right?" I'm like, "She better be at this point, otherwise that's
Yeah.
pretty embarrassing."
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
I don't
like,
know.
I'll
It
know.
is. She's been a great, she's been a great person to have as the guinea pig for this. I'm
Yep.
just like, "Hey, here's a new feature." She's like, "Okay," and she'll be like, "Why does it say this up here?" I'm like, "Stop looking at that."
Yeah.
What about this? She's like, "I don't like that color." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God. Okay, honey.
Well, maybe
All
that's what
right."
customers will think too.
I know. It's been great, but at the same as a developer, you're like, honey, that's not what I focus
Yeah.
here. She's like, why does it say that? That doesn't make sense. Okay. All right. All right. I'll fix that, please.
Oh, that's so funny. But
Yeah.
once again, congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you. You too.
Like, thank
It's
you,
amazing.
and thank you very much once again for your time today.